Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Okay, so I've got something to say. And on today's episode, we're finishing up with my gorgeous Aunt Robin, who has so graciously been with me for the first few episodes on this series, this 4-part series, talking about the things that we don't want to talk about or that's hard to talk about, but outliving our children. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about my cousin Shane, and I'm going to let my aunt tell you about her son. So first of all, Aunt Robin, hi, say hi.
Hello.
You're like going to be a pro at the end of this. You could be my all the time guest.
Sure. Sure.
Okay, so let's talk. Tell me about Shane. What was his name? Tell me his full name and then tell me about him.
Okay. Well, thank you for letting me talk of my middle boy, Shane Michael Combe. I lost him at 27. I consider Shane my sunshine boy, so I have a lot of sunshines. Where Kyle was my ladybug, Shane is my sunshine. And the reason two reasons why I call him that is because when he was a baby, he had a pull toy and it always played, made him happy, whatever. And it was, "You Are My Sunshine." Of course, you see that all over on plaques and stuff. But yeah, that has a little bit of a special meaning to me. I do have a tattoo. It's hard to get a good tattoo of a sunshine. Let me just tell you, on fair skin. So it looks more like a whirligig or something. I don't know. But that's my sunshine. I had him when I was 28. I went back to work, unfortunately, when he was 3 months old. He was a happy baby. He was a quiet baby, but he was a toddler that would hide behind his mom. As he grew up, he was very much a jokester. My poor mom, him and Christopher both would put spiders in her roller box. So when she curled her hair, she'd see a fake spider. And then it got to be where she would just go, "Oh," knowing it's going to be there, but go ahead and satisfy their woe or whatever. But oh yeah, his Aunt Erin one time when he was about 6, maybe 6. She said, "Will you do Urkel for me?" Because he had the glasses, he'd pull his pants up and talk just like him. Well, she had to bribe him, and $5 wasn't enough. Well, finally he did it, and it took an arm and a leg, but in $5 or $10, but he did it. And he was the kid that if I'm at the mall walking down with them and somebody's coming that's doing something ridiculous or funny or whatever, I literally would turn to him and say, "Don't, Shane." And if he had this super grin, I can still see his grin, I would just walk the other way because I knew that I was gonna laugh, and that would not be good. When I say funny things, sometimes crude. I raised 3 boys. I'm allowed to be crude. That's the way I feel. The things that'll come out of my mouth sometimes, and I always say, "Pardon me, that was my son Shane," because it came from nowhere. I had him. All 3 of my boys were C-sections. I do have Shane being born C-section on film. You were allowed to do that back then, and my girlfriend went in the OR with Jim and I, and they wouldn't let us do it with Kyle because then all sorts of problems with what's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, legal reasons.
Yeah, legal reasons. But
because they didn't want you to catch it if something messed up.
Yes. Yeah. Covering their buns. But anyway, so I have the photographs and the film of him. Shane was an excellent softball player, baseball player. He played at a young age. When he was, his dad would know exactly. When he was, I think, about 8, he was playing 10 and 11-year-olds in a only tournament, like your coach had to pick you. That's how good he was. And he was petrified. And we just kept saying, Shane, you know, you have an arm. And he did fine, but he was nervous as heck. I mean, that's a big age difference, especially, you know, 8 to 10 or 11. And so that was really an honor for him. And we still have that baseball that the coach signed. He played soccer, was a very good soccer player, played it a lot of years, played club. Shane was the type of kid that no matter what sport he tried, if it was, you know, whatever, he snowboarded, was excellent at it. He never had to like have lessons about anything. He just could do it. He was just that type of person, body and everything. He played his freshman year. He played varsity golf. He tried out and made that. He was, sometimes the boys in gym and I would go to watch hit a bucket of balls. Well, Shane had a type of stroke that guys would stop and watch him. And I kid you not, he just had this air about him. And it was cool as a mom to sit back and see, you know, and we have that on film too. I think he really could have done really good in golf had he continued. Let's see, what else did he do? He tried Pop Warner, just wasn't him. Shane was a thinner, semi-tall, muscular. So he was, I think they called a running back, not a tackler, I don't know. But he tried it, didn't like it, so that was fine by me. What else did he try?
I can remember him being, if I remember correctly, I can remember him being good at cannonballs off the diving board at Aunt Erin's house.
That's probably very true.
Him and my brother, him and both my brothers actually, but I can see it right now in my head. I don't remember it at the pool at your and Uncle Jim's house, but I can remember at Aunt Erin's house, the one off Greenway, that diving board back there, and them just being able to just.
Yeah. That sounds about right. I mean, they'd probably call Aunt Erin over and get her all wet, you know.
Yeah.
That's the way they were.
So he was very athletic is what.
Oh, yeah, very athletic.
Yeah.
I mean, and he wasn't arrogant. He wasn't, you know, it's like, meh. Very smart, was in the gifted program in grade school. It came to high school, he was too lax, and his counselors they liked him and they begged him, Shane, just turn in your assignments. You're throwing my curve off. Everything else he got straight A's. So his senior year, he pulled it together. He graduated in the top, is it 2%? I don't know. Anyway, he was smart. And I was very proud of him because he just didn't want to do the assignments, the homework. Mm-hmm. And yet he could take a test and just do fine. So not his mom.
No.
But
sounds like Jacob, actually. That's how
he was a very lucky boy, or gifted, blessed, whatever you want to call it. He had it all. He really, really did. And he had the personality and the looks. I can remember one time walking through a Walmart parking lot, and a group of girls walked by, and he's just walking with me, and oh my gosh, girls literally just fell for him.
Yeah.
He had that air about him.
Can I just say, though, our family in general, like, we don't make bad looking kids.
That's true.
We really do have some amazing looking kids.
You're right.
It's just kind of like freaky good looking. But
we always,
he definitely good looking, and also just that perfect skin tone.
Yes, I had to put sunblock on him when he went. I'm talking like grade school young, because I did not want to get he did not, I didn't want him to get any darker. He had like an olive, but more of a tan. And he came out that way.
Yeah.
He just, I don't know where he got it from, because my first one was a fair skinned and a little bit of a redhead. But he thought one time when we were filling out paperwork, he was with Jim, it said race or something like that. And he goes, "No, I'm black." Well, that's because people would always say, "You're so black."
Yeah.
He was tan, blonde hair. And then as he got older, it was brown.
Yeah. I remember he also loved my dad.
Yes. Yes.
You would see
Yep.
pictures, or if anytime I can remember being at family gatherings, mostly Aunt Erin's. That's probably because she always has to host.
Uh-huh.
Especially in the summertime, like if we were out back, you would always see him in the background by my dad, by his chair, standing behind his chair. Or
How sweet. I guess I never realized that.
Mhm.
He could hang with anybody. He loved his cousins. Both of my boys, well, all my boys do. I remember one time when we had moved to Utah and we were down here visiting. It was actually when Kelly gave my birthday party, my 50th or 40th birthday party. And all the cousins were there.
Was that the one at her house
Yes.
in Buckeye?
Yes.
With all of the medicines, Asper cream and things like that hanging?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Well, the next day we had to drive back to Utah, and he had to say bye to little Jack and Adam. They were all in Kelly's little camper that she used to call the
Love Shack.
Love Shack.
Yeah.
And he had to say goodbye, and he couldn't. He was bawling so hard, and I just felt, it was awful. And he wanted to stay with his cousins, and that was a very, very sad day. And he loved hanging with family, no matter who it was.
Yeah, we used to do so much more back then. So how was he when you were pregnant? Was he planned? You guys were trying to have a second?
Yes, and it didn't take me long, and I wanted a girl, and all the patients at work, because I worked for a doctor, would bring me pink gifts, like a dress and for a baby. And back then, they didn't have ultrasound with my first one, so I couldn't know. But with the other two, I was the type I did not want to know. And so patients would bring me these dress things. So when Shane was born, the doctor said, "It's outside plumbing." And I just started bawling. So Jim's like, I go, "It's okay. Well, then by the time I went home, because it was a C-section and I'm cut vertically, or is that horizontally? Up and down.
That's
I said, yeah. And it took me a while to heal and stuff. Well, anyway, so they kept me an extra few days, and Jim went and gave away all the girls' baby clothes because he didn't want me to have to see them. But really, doesn't matter. Heck no. And what else?
How was he as a baby?
He was a good baby. He was a quiet baby. He didn't, unfortunately, because I worked and I learned when I was pregnant with my third one, I said, "This is it." I was fortunate enough that Jim made enough I could stay home and give up my salary and be home with all three of them. So with Shane, he was 5 when I quit working. So the minute I did, I would partake in school stuff. And but as far as a baby, the evenings, isn't that sad? I so regret that. But I'm also grateful that I quit when I did, at least, because especially excuse me, now that I've lost him, I pretty much can look back. I'm telling you with 100%, I'm okay. That I feel like as parents, Jim and I really did a good job. And I'm not patting myself on the back, but you question yourself when you lose your child. Was I a good parent? Could I have done this? You know, everybody's done that. And actually both the boys, Shane did towards the end, and numerous times, Kyle both said, you know, you were good parents. If I could be half the parents, you know, that you and dad were, then that's like a mom hearing that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And like with Shane, he would say, Mom and Dad, you don't deserve the pain I'm putting you through. So don't blame yourself. God's way, I guess, because I had no control in it. I tried. I worked with him as best I could, but it was bigger than us. And that's what I told Shane. It's bigger than us. So yeah, he was a good guy.
Well, we talked about him being very athletic and into that. How was he in school?
Well, like I said, he was on the gifted program.
Oh, that's right. Right.
So not only was he smart, but he really was, I mean, athletic, smart, shy. As he got older, he wasn't as shy. And like I said, the kid that would rubber band the nozzle on the kitchen sink so that when I turned it, I can't tell you how many. I mean, even when he was in his 20s, he did that to me. It's just, that's the way he was. And of course, I fell for it every time. But
and at his services, you talked about one of the things, whenever you would do groceries, go grocery shopping, he didn't have to be asked. He would just.
Yep, he would seriously, and not only did he jump off the couch or whatever, he would say, I got it, Mom, because I'd try and grab a handful too, and he wouldn't let me.
So he was protective.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so what did he want to be when he grew up? Did he ever say?
Yeah, he wanted to do marketing. Don't ask me where that came from. Well, of course, when he was younger, he was going to be like Michael Jordan, and he would be the second Michael Jordan. But and that was basketball, which he played, but he was, okay in that compared to other sports. But anyway, as he got older in high school, that was his thing, was marketing. Kind of shocked me. Wow. But then once he graduated and we moved back to Arizona, he worked with his Uncle Kevin for a long time, and electrical work. So he never really got to fulfill, his dreams, but he was happy. I mean, he loved working. The two of them together scared me to death. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh. But yeah, he did that, and he what else did he do? Electrical. He was like a jack of all trades when it came. He could look at something and fix it. I mean, he was so gifted.
Okay, and then what is your little love note reminder that you think of? What did you say? It was the sunshine?
The sunshine, and it was, his little pull toy. But I will say that the last day I saw him, I had given him, my friend took me to Hawaii for my birthday one year, and I bought a yellow sweatshirt there with a hoodie, I guess is what you call them. And I gave it to him. And the last day, he was coming down the stairs because he had moved back in with us. And I said, he just looked so bright with that yellow. I go, hey, Mr. Sunshine. And he goes, yeah. He goes, and then he proceeded to tell me he had a job interview. But that's the way he was like sunshine. He really was.
And that was the last day you saw him?
That was the last day. Yep, I dropped him off at a job interview at 1. Deegan and I did. Deegan was in the car seat, and I had to hurry home because the refrigerator guy was going to be there by 1:30, and I was, a good 20, 30 minutes away. So I'm like rushing to say goodbye to him, and that was it. He texted me and said he got the job, and I told him to take the bus home because I felt, he was capable of that. And, reminded him that he was living with us now. And he said, I know. But in other words, do good. And we got the phone call. Actually, I got the phone call on my phone in the middle of the night under my pillow, and I thought it was him needing a ride. And for the first time in my life, or not my life, but in dealing with situations with Shane, I didn't answer it and I didn't look at it, because in my mind I'm thinking he wants a ride home. It's 1 o'clock, or actually it was 1:30 in the morning. Well, it wasn't. It was the, what do you call them? The people that, not the sheriff, but the detective calling us, and finally they never got a hold of us. Actually, they had his phone, and they called Kelly first. Do you remember that? And then they called Jim, because I wouldn't talk to him, and Jim had to, and you don't have to use this, had to identify him by the tattoo on his chest, and that's how. But something kind of ironic, and I don't know if you knew this, he hung with this kid named Trent forever when we lived in Phoenix there. And his dad was a firefighter, this Trent's dad, and the mom was a police sergeant or something. She was an officer. And what I learned later is Trent grew up to be a firefighter, and he had an older sister who was in the police department. When that officer, that sergeant or detective, said their name, because it was such an odd name, it was her. So I don't know if she remembers, and I didn't ask, or it was not important at the time. So basically, the sister of one of his friends was with him. Pretty ironic.
Wow.
Whether she knew it was him, it's an odd name, and it's not like Joe Smith, Shane, but
Well, and Shane wasn't an average looking guy.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
It made me feel good for whatever reason.
One of those, I call them love notes. So
yes.
Just comforting things that God does that we might not even notice necessarily right in that moment. But when we have the opportunity to reflect, then we're able to pick up on it and see. And it's, it's that Footprints in the Sand poem, where you only see one set. That's where he carried you.
Yes.
You don't necessarily see it right then and there, but again, reflection, and you're able to go, that was what he was doing there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the way that he carries us as parents is in those moments, especially for children.
Same.
Where you can say thank you.
Yeah.
For doing that. Yeah. Because it does comfort you. But greater than what our experience ever is, or our emotions on anything, we always just want for our kids that they're held, that they're taken care of, that they're loved, and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's a heck of a thing that you have that knowledge.
When this is kind of, I don't know if you want to use this or not, but when we were able to pick his things up, we had to get him from the police station after so many days. Now, mind you, Shane moved a lot, but when he was 8, we were in Utah. All my boys, I gave up, at Hallmark, they have those cute little or nice little sayings in a card. Well, I gave Jim one time, and all my boys had one different things. And I wrote on the back, to Shane with the date, whatever year it was, 90 something. And all that was in his wallet when we picked him up was that. That was it.
Mm.
I hadn't seen it since I gave it to him. He didn't have any money. I think he might have had a driver's license that had I think it had expired. No, because they didn't know who he was. I don't remember, but there was one other thing in his wallet, and to me, that was the best. That was a gift.
Mm-hmm.
That was a gift.
Well, because
to still have it. I mean, that was
it showed the value of that, and also the relationship. And
yes, he did. He was sentimental. He kept everything. He, back in the day when kids made those gum wrapper chains. Do you remember that kind of? Well, he had one a mile long. He worked on it for years. Well, when we were going through his things, that was still in there.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Uh-huh.
Things you forget about. Wow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have remembered that until you said anything about even doing that. I can remember my brothers.
And Pogs, remember Pogs?
Yes.
Oh, he still had his Pogs.
No way. Yes. That's crazy.
Yes.
What do you miss about him the most?
A lot. Just like Kyle, it's just I fought so hard with him. 10 years I fought with him. And I was by his side. Parents would be safe, you're enabling, but it did to a point, but his smile.
Mm.
He had a beautiful smile. And I had him for 27 years. I'm lucky. I had him a few more years more than Kyle, and so I have more memories and the heartache.
Mm-hmm.
And he would always apologize. There was a time when Erin she helped me through those times because it was literally 10 years of my life.
Mm-hmm. And
I would say I'd get in the car because he'd be MIA for maybe a week. And I'd say, get in my car and I'd say, okay, God, this is a big city. I need to see his red truck. I need to know that he's around. I'll be a son of a gun. I'm in an intersection, stopped at a red light, and there goes Shane, totally across, going the other direction, passing me by. So needless to say, I followed him and just said, are you okay? And that happened numerous times. I cannot tell you. Because I didn't know where he was living. I didn't know anything. And again, that happened a few times. And I'm sure Erin can think of more than I, can. I can't even tell you.
It's difficult because with our family is no stranger to that battle. And he battled hard. But it's not just something, that kind of struggle isn't something that just he had to deal with. It literally does take over or consume, affect the family. And I wish that I could say that we didn't have to still see it and battle it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not the case. So let me ask you, what do you want people to know about your son?
I don't want people to know how he died. I want people to know what he was and what he was worth.
How he lived?
Yep. Yep. He was my child that went to Awana. He was my child that knew the Bible backwards and forwards as far as saying, he always did stuff like that. He was just had a lot. He could have given a lot and done a lot, but wasn't meant to be, unfortunately.
He loved his family. I can say that. I remember
Mhm.
family functions.
Very much
He
so.
was always in the center of it.
Yep.
Always in the center of it, and always smiling.
Jokester.
Hmm.
And probably under his breath, you know, making a joke or, because he was not a serious person all the time. He had those moments where you were just like, oh my goodness, he was funny. That a lot of people said when I read, Shane was so funny.
So is there anything else that you want to say that you don't think we touched, or any notes you have written down that you want to tell people about your son?
Let me think here. This is one for Shane and both Kyle also. Losing an adult child feels like having an entire chapters of your life torn out and shredded. And that's exactly, like I said, when it changed our whole family dynamics, it was like, I don't want to say starting over, but it's sure not what Jim and I had pictured.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, Here's another good one. It's kind of fuzzy, so bear with me. I said, God, I hurt. And God said, I know. I said, I cry a lot. And God said, that's why I gave you tears. I'm sure you've heard this. I said, life is so hard. And God said, that's why I gave you loved ones. I said, but my loved one died. And God said, so did mine. I said, it's such a great loss. And God said, I saw mine nailed to a cross. I said, but your loved one lives. And God said, so does yours.
Mm.
I said, where is he now? And God said, my son is beside my side, and your son is in my arms. That's pretty cool. That's what gets me through the days.
Mm-hmm.
Right there.